So, Prasannal, one of the other questions that I hear from a lot of customers is how do I get started with data governance? So, what advice would you give to an organization that hasn't done anything when it comes to Salesforce data governance or is in very early stages of their data governance journey specific to Salesforce?
The very first advice I would give anyone looking at the data governance, especially from a Salesforce lens, is to take a look at like how are they today organized their data governance program or structure, and what kind of data governance council do they have? Because I think it's very important to understand that maturity, because that needs to dictate some of what I talked in my prior comment about the whole data classification, data tagging, and the intent of any information starts with how I want to start to collect data to measure what, right? I mean, it starts from the time of collection. So all those good principles of making sure there is controlled data for a drop down menu, right? There is no, how do you control the quality of data coming through these forms and this business processes? This very much starts from the way you collect the data so that you can govern it and be able to share the data in the format that is usable for everything. It is very important to understand the overall data governance program and maturity. And the second step is to really bring that awareness at an organization level, the amount of data that Salesforce environment is consuming, and also the amount of data, personal information that it is producing as a part of all the CRM and service management of a customer, to show that there is a huge risk for the organization if it's not governed. You cannot govern anything without starting with recognizing here's where we need to measure what we have and be able to react to these requirements, which is coming from regulatory aspects of it, right? And I think really creating maybe even a Salesforce subcommittee, which is focused on those aspects of all the data governance aspects that we talked about, and rolling up within the data governance program so that there is an awareness at the leadership level and even into the board, that there is this huge opportunity to highlight the potential of business risk sitting on the Salesforce platform, and how we can augment that with having a clear line of sight and ownership, and say that this is how it's going to roll up into the overall data governance program for the enterprise. So I would say that start from taking an account of where your current maturity is. You as a COE leader come up with a plan of how you think that you can start in a small fashion and iterate from there, right? No big bang approach. Take something small that is achievable and fold into that overall enterprise data governance organization, or I would say like at least report on to their awareness, consult and inform. And I think as it matures, it will automatically gain traction because people are going to see there's a huge value. Data privacy is becoming our key lever for trust, building trust in your brand. And hence, this is super important for you to create that brand image, drive loyalty, drive revenue. So it has such a huge impact. And I think as the CEO leaders, you guys have that responsibility to make that awareness even at the board level. So I think I would say like start in small steps, work with your data governance councils and structures which is in place, and see how you can plug your own Salesforce governance and oversight into that, and kind of keep reiterating from that aspect.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm glad you mentioned this, particularly the start small is, I think, such a foundational aspect. I've really not seen a lot of big bang programs do very well when you talk about, technologies like Salesforce. The value is in speed. Like a lot of the practices for Salesforce are not dramatically different. If there's an enterprise-wide data governance organization or best practices from that industry, like Accord, for instance. So you take those sort of standards and you embrace some of them, but you start small. We are going to discuss a data governance framework in our event. And I really hope that the people who are watching this video get an opportunity to learn from Prasannal your and Velu's rich and diverse experience in data governance. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Saurabh.